All right, class. So today we are going to make a mixed media painting. Now, so for all purposes, mixed media is bringing more than one artistic medium into an artwork. Now, for this one, I've already done a basic watercolor painting, which you have watercolor paints at home. I've done a simple rocky shoreline with some landscape off in the background and some clouds. Now, just to point out some things about the painting, I have made sure to leave the white of the clouds is just the white of the paper. That was planned out. And I've done all the things I normally talk about. I painted from back to front. I painted from big to small, so I haven't put in a ton of detail yet, except for maybe a little bit in the rocks. All of my colors are not directly from the tube. My greens, I have reds mixed into my greens to make them more natural. I have oranges mixed into my blues to make them more neutralized. And I have a lot of value at the moment in the painting, and I'm going to try to continue doing that. And to make this mixed media, I'm going to bring in some colored pencil. Now for you, you could decide, you could do a watercolor painting, and then you can go back into it with marker. You can go into it with pencil, with colored pencil. You can go into it with acrylic paint if you have it. It's up to you what you want to mix into your watercolor painting. We're just going to start with a watercolor base. All right. So for now, I'm going to want to punch up some of the contrast in my water. So I'm just going to simply, now these are watercolor pencils, which is good because if I decide to go back into it with water, no problem. If you use an oil-based pencil, once you start drawing with that, or wax-based, you're not going to want to bring water back into your artwork. So it's really important when you're doing mixed media art that you're very familiar with the materials you're using. All right. If you were to do a painting and you wanted to do a mixture of acrylic and oil, that's fine. But you have to understand that you have to do the acrylic part of the painting first. You cannot do acrylic on top of oil. So you have to know the way your materials work. It's perfectly fine for me to go on top of this painting with some colored pencil. Now, how obvious you want to make it is up to you. I might want to make this so that it's not so obvious that I've brought in another medium. You've seen a lot, I'm sure, of YouTube artists out there that will start an artwork in colored pencil, and then they'll bring in maybe some gel pens, or they'll bring in some marker for certain types of techniques and effects. Well, that's essentially what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just start to accentuate what I've already built and try to bring some certain effects out. So I want to make my water have a little more contrast. So I'm going to determine where I want these waves to be, and I'm going to bring in a light blue shade with color pencil. Now, I talk about color pencil. I'm trying to use the side of the pencil. I'm trying not to make my stroke too obvious, at least not on my water. And if I want to soften it, I can go back in with some water since these are watercolor pencils. All right. I'm also going to bring in, I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue pushing the waves and trying to get as much contrast as possible. Probably going to bring in a few more highlights. I might try some white color pencil. And I might go on top of the highlights of my water. Unfortunately, you're not going to get enough pigment load to really make a very drastic white. That's why with watercolor, it's very important that you plan your highlights out in advance and you know where not to paint. All right, but it does help. I do get a little bit of a lighter transition, a little bit more of a highlight, and I'm going to continue to work that. In my stones, I'm going to use a little bit of blue and brown and black to try to get my stones to feel a little more solid and a little richer. All right, now here I'll also think about how I want to direct my pencil. And it's okay if I see a little more pencil stroke in the stones because they're not soft like the water. They are harder. So it's okay to see the pencil stroke. If you were to look at stones, you would probably see some, hard lines in a stone. It's more common. So I'm going to continue to work this mixed media painting, and then I will share the final results with you. you're going to try to plan what kind of mixed media painting that you're going to make. Remember, starting with a watercolor base and then bringing another one of our art materials into the painting. All right? All right, I'll show you the finished product later on. Thanks, guys.